everybody, it's Safi and Marco dishing out on the movies. But today we are dishing out on Better Call Saul. Yay, I'm so glad to see him back. That he's okay, because he did have a heart attack in real life. And right in the middle of production. So he looked good, but I'm not sure. I think what we saw was before the heart attack.
What are we here to review, Safi?
We are here to
Say it.
We are here to review Better Call Saul, the final season, although it's being split up into two halves.
Which I guess they didn't want that to happen, but the network forced them to do that. So they did not even want to do that, which is pretty funny.
So the episode would be number 1, the season be number 6. Wow. Okay, season 6. The episode is number 1, and it is called... Actually, they had 2 episodes last night.
Yeah, we're reviewing both episodes. The first one's called Wine and Roses. The second one is called Carrot and Stick. So let's give a little brief history of what we thought about each season to make sure that people know what our thoughts are on the series in general if they're coming here for the first time. So I love the first season. I think it's pretty perfect. I mean, it's a great first season. It was such a great show to watch, like, weekly, and it was great every single week to watch it. What do you think about the first season, Safi?
Well, I enjoyed it too because it was the classic Saul Goodman, who's a little trickster and got by doing little manipulations and of people and things, and it was really good. It was very entertaining and funny.
The second season, I think, it's hard to say if it's... But I think they're kind of tied. That's how good they are. The second season is really good too, and the fact that they were able to bring back Hector without the wheelchair and before the stroke, that was like my favorite part, because that's what they wanted to do. They wanted him to be a villain in season 3, for him to be the main villain, and then at the end he gets in a wheelchair, I guess. And I loved how he was able to do that in this season, and I loved all the rivalry between Jimmy and Chuck, and the twist at the end with the tape recorder. I mean, that was such an epic moment and such a great twist. And the genius thing about the early seasons is that they had like an undercurrent of darkness, but it all seemed light. But then they'd have these moments of darkness. Like at the end, you thought maybe Chuck isn't going to be really a bad guy, but then you see that tape recorder thing and it's like, God, he's really evil. And it's such a great, smart moment. And whereas now it's like it's just all out in the open, and there really isn't any morality questions at all. It's just everyone's evil. We'll get to that. And so what did you think of season 2, Safi?
Well, I thought it was interesting because you could see, because I think when we watched Breaking Bad, Hector had this little bell or this dinghy thing on his wheelchair, and we got to see the origin of that. And so
that was season 4, Safi.
Oh, it was? I mean, I don't remember how each...
Oh, okay.
It'd be better
I guess
for
I
you
should
to
just
do that
well,
part.
Could you just say you liked the season?
Yes, I did. I did because we got to see more of Chuck, and...
if you liked it, that is. I'm not saying you have to like it.
Well,
because that's what people would say. They'll be like, you told her to say she liked it. But
no,
I'm just telling
he just has
her,
to remind me what happened.
I'm just telling
I really
her
did.
to say it in general. Like,
I look forward to watching it every week, and because it was funny. I liked the character. I was happy that they made a series about him, and I thought it was everything I'd hoped for. Was really good. It continued his character, which is funny, and also he's really smart. And
yeah, when they announced the show, I was really excited until they
Yeah.
talked about what it would be about, because at first they were going to make this a 2-season joke. And it was just going to be like a little jokey joke show
Really?
where every week he had a different funny client, and he's the Saul in Breaking Bad, and it just really wasn't going to do anything. It was just going to be a big joke.
Oh, I'm glad they didn't do that.
And yeah, and then they started writing, and I love how the world expands, and how it's a lot richer of a world than like a show like, I don't know, like Leave It to Beaver.
Well, that'd be like almost like a sitcom.
It was going to be a sitcom, so I love the fact that they made this.
Oh, thank God.
I know, I love how they took it seriously and didn't just goof off. And then in season 3, there was a little bit of a quality drop, whether people want to admit it or not. And the reason is because you had like so much more of the drug storyline, to the point of where, you have the 4th episode. The whole 4th episode is just the stupid drug storyline. The 4th episode of season 3 is just such trash. And then you have just all this stuff that doesn't have to do with Saul, doesn't have to do with Jimmy. But then all the Jimmy stuff is really, really good. Like you have that episode with Chuck's outburst. You have all that stuff with bringing his ex-wife to see him in court, and it's just such a masterful season, regardless of how much the drug stuff is taking over. Which, to me, it sort of feels like they knew that the show was a very niche show, and so what did they do? They said, oh, let's just add in a lot of Breaking Bad stuff to please Breaking Bad fanboys, to give them all this fan service even though it isn't needed. Let's just make this show Breaking Bad light, with a little bit of Saul in the background.
A little bit of Saul.
And that's where we get to season 4, which is complete garbage, piece of shit. I hate season 4 so bad that, like, if I had control, I would destroy every copy in existence. All the characters are extremely unlikable, except for, no, not him, yet. He becomes likable in season 5, but not in season 4. I'll tell you who I'm talking about when I get to season 5, but season 4 is complete awful. Like, I hate it so badly. All the characters are unlikable. Kim basically takes over for Jimmy, and they start rushing through the show. They do like a time lapse, and that starts the cycle of them rushing through everything, so that they can end it as quickly as possible.
And they did it centering around a bathroom.
They did?
Remember they were in the bathroom? I think he was shaving or something.
Oh, yeah.
And she had been in a terrible accident because she was so overworked and overtired.
Well, he did the thing with the cell phones, and it's like this stupid plot about him selling illegal cell phones, and just, ugh. And they had this storyline where she, like, disapproves of him, and she's, like, embarrassed to be his girlfriend because he's a jokester and he's a prankster. Oh, no. He's not a uppity lawyer guy like Chuck, his brother. And so it's weird because in season 1, she hated Chuck and she thought, like, he's a piece of shit.
And he was mean to his brother. She did not like that.
Oh, but then in season 4, it's like, oh, she loves him now. And then you have Mike, who becomes a cold-blooded killer, piece of trash. Had this whole boring storyline with building the lab. You have Gus, who just becomes like Darth Vader. You have Nacho, who is like a weak little puppy dog who's like forced to fight. It's basically like if you had like a dog fight and you forced a puppy to fight against a bulldog or something. That's basically what Nacho is doing. And then in season 5, I did kind of feel like they listened to us a little bit, but probably not, because, you have so many fanboys who just can't criticize anything because they're weak little bitches. And so in season 5, you have more of Kim, just Kim. And it's like, why even call it Better Call Saul anymore if you're not even going to have a show about Saul? And but actually, they have even more drug stuff. Just keep adding more and more and more, which they said in interviews. They said, we're entering the Breaking Bad universe because we got to speed things along and get this shit over with, guys, so we can go do some crap, like, I don't know, maybe another El Camino movie. Hopefully not, because that was trash too. And they have all this drug stuff, which, in fairness, Lalo is the best character in the entire show in seasons 4 through 6, and he's just so good. He's funny, he's good, he's evil. He's the best character. He's basically like an anti-hero. And it's his relationship with Jimmy, forcing Jimmy to be his bitch. And the Bagman episode is probably the greatest episode in the show's history.
It's amazing.
Where him and Mike have to... And you love the relationship with him and Mike and their friendship. And that was like a really unexpected part of how much I love that part. Is really... that's one of the best elements of the show. And they brought that back instead of just like him being Kim's embarrassing, his the beta male Saul. So the Bagman episode was incredible, A+. And then they did give Kim a great moment where she defended him against Lalo, which I really liked that. But the episode itself was kind of bad. And then the finale was just so bad that it made me want to never watch the show again. Even the early seasons. Like, the finale was so bad that, like, it's probably one of the worst finales I've ever seen. You know, you had Jimmy and Kim just sitting around eating ice cream together and Kim doing finger guns. And then you had Lalo with Gus hired the best guys. He has all the best guys. He has all the best hitmen, and they come to get Lalo. And Lalo, like, is so invincible that he's so
smart.
He's dodging machine guns and stuff like that.
He had made a tunnel in his house.
That part was cool, but it just felt really unrealistic.
I don't know.
Which was
For
sad.
Him?
How he was able to, like, dodge the bullets and stuff like that. Like, I like the idea of seeing that, but I also didn't like how the little bitch Nacho, he ran away when he knew in the back of his mind that those innocent people were going to get killed. And so we're left with this. I don't like Nacho. I don't like Kim. I don't like Jimmy. I don't like Mike. And I don't like Gus. The only person I like is Lalo.
And we know he's not long for the universe because...
I don't know.
Well, he was never in Breaking Bad.
Maybe he disappears.
Well, that could be too because he's so smart. But where's he going to disappear?
I would really like if Nacho and Lalo actually came to terms and then they disappeared together. Because that
would be nice.
That would be cool. That would be like a somewhat happy ending.
And that would put a crimp into Gus, the evil Darth Vader of the Latin American universe.
Because let's be fair, he really is the villain. Like, it's not Lalo who's the villain, it's Gus. And so he smiles,
but behind the smile he'll rip your head off if he can.
So we really weren't excited for season 6 at all. I was just excited to get it over with because I'm kind of over the show now. You know, the first few seasons, they were an entirely different show. That even people who love these shitty seasons, they acknowledge the same thing. They all say, you know, I really wasn't a fan of the first few seasons, but then in season 4, I was like, oh my god, this is the greatest show of all time. And you know, it's two camps. It's one camp, which is me and Safi, who love the first few seasons, don't like the other half where they ruined it. And then there's another camp who didn't like the first few seasons when the show felt like its own show and not Breaking Bad light. But they love these recent seasons. So now we're in season 6, and basically, I would rename these first 2 episodes to Better Call Nacho or something, because a lot of people did call Nacho. Like, they physically called Nacho. They never even called Jimmy.
Well, no, that's not. He met with the cop, and I think it was the prosecuting attorney.
They didn't call him on the phone. That
No,
was a joke.
No, but they said it.
It was a joke.
And he said, "Oh, my secretary's been out," but we never saw them calling him.
But we did see Nacho gets calls a million times.
Yes.
And so it's basically Better Call Nacho. And the majority of these episodes is Nacho. And it's Nacho's storyline, the Breaking Bad light storyline, which I'm really kind of sick of, honestly. But honestly, I really enjoyed it, even though I'm sick of it. And I enjoyed both episodes overall. Safi, what about you? Did you enjoy them?
Yes, I did. I just got confused by a couple of things. The intro to the first episode, which looked like they were emptying out Jimmy's, quote, house, which is more like a, quote, mansion, which we never saw in Breaking Bad. We never saw in any of the previous seasons, because remember, he wanted to get a house with Kim, and she was all in, and then she was all out. They were going to have a business together, and they did for about 2 seconds, and then they were out, and she had an accident. I mean, there's just so many things, and nothing ever materialized. I mean, basically, the only time we ever saw him, well, I guess he's in some little apartment place now, or a little house, but he was in that. Remember that little Chinese, the office in the...
Yeah, I love that setting back in the first good season.
Back of the hair... Was it a hairdressing?
It's a nail salon.
Salon. And, I mean, it was cramped beyond belief. It was like being in a closet.
Such great lighting where he steps in there and the light, like the coloring of like the water bottle, you can immediately picture that setting. Whereas the places he lives in now, they're just like boring places that you don't really care about.
And I'm thinking, like,
this boring apartment.
What is this place? I mean, in this intro, this like spiel.
They're basically trying to paint a picture that when Saul's in Breaking Bad, because they got to speed it along, they got to get everything over with. We should basically put this review at 1.75 speed so that we're not overstaying our reviewing welcome, to make sure that we're not doing that. They're basically stating that, like, now it's canon that he had this big mansion, and it's like this stereotypical Jim Baker mansion where
these things.
He's got a golden toilet, he's got golden everything,
they were throwing him in the trash.
He's got pills and Viagra, which I will say, the most realistic part for me was all the pill things that he had. He had like a whole stack of different types of pills. And I thought with all the stress he deals with, probably that was really realistic.
Now we got to see what was really going on. Didn't have his cool demeanor wasn't as cool and natural as everybody thought it was.
It was a very weird opening. It felt very out of character for the whole show, because
it didn't match with any of the rest of the show.
Yeah, it really felt like its own little thing. Like, this could have been a teaser trailer to the show. Like, they could have said, Better Call Saul, Season 6 teaser. And you could have had this little montage thing, because they're famous for montages. I mean, people talked, in the good seasons, they talked about how they make montages interesting with the way they edit them, and they have music that, engages you in these boring activities that the characters do. Like with Kim, when she has all the little sticky notes and she's calling her clients to try to get business. The way that montage was, it was a lot more interesting than it could have been with another show. But this montage was like it was like a opera scene or something.
Well, the thing is, in the previous seasons, they had shown the future with Jimmy, and it was all in black and white.
Yeah, and there was no black and white scene, which to me indicates that
and this was in color, like a rich color. It wasn't settled or muted or anything.
They're going to speed through the story. The second half is going to be black and white future. You want to bet, Safi?
I don't know. I don't know what to bet on this show.
I don't know. I don't really care. But
I don't know. You know, I was just happy he was okay because, like I told Marco, you know, we talk about this ever so often about Twin Peaks and how they made this show and they're supposed to come back. He said they're coming back, and over he makes this little threat or promise, or I don't know what it is, and they never come, and they've had one character in real life die off after another because people get old. And the guy, Bob Odenkirk, who plays Saul, he had a heart attack. Once you have one heart attack, you're vulnerable to more. So, I mean, he's got to be careful. And he's lucky to be alive. And he was lucky, I guess, because he had in the middle of production, there was tons of people around. They could all rush him to the hospital. They're probably in, the big city in New Mexico. And so there's probably a hospital close by. And, you know, I'm just happy that he's alive. I guess that's partly what I was thinking watching the episode. And even though he seemed muted and different, a little different. But anyway,
we'll talk about that. I mean, that's jumping ahead a little bit.
Yeah, I know, but I was just glad he's okay.
Well, yeah, that's the point that Safi made after watching this long premiere, which I will say,
it was too long.
It should have just been one episode. It shouldn't have been a 2-episode premiere. I mean, you want to talk about overstaying your welcome? Well, excuse me. It was like 3.5 hours of TV.
I don't have time to watch 3.5 hours of TV.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't.
Yeah, you
do.
I don't.
And I, you
haven't even been watching your X-Files.
You want to enjoy it too, and it's just like it just went on, and then it went to the next one, and you have to take it all in and try to figure out, like, that opening scene, was that what you thought it was? Because it wasn't in black and white, it was in color.
It wasn't hard for me, it was just a little too much, and
yeah, it was like extra whipped cream on a sundae or something with about 10 cups of nuts.
But Safi was making the point that it was nice to see all the characters back, all of them. All the characters in these first 2 episodes gave A+ performances. Like, there wasn't any...
At certain times, yeah.
The acting is not bad. The acting is not the problem.
No.
And we've said that multiple times, just so everyone knows. Even with Kim, the person who we hate on the most in the show, her acting is not the issue. But then with Twin Peaks, it's like they're never going to make Twin Peaks again because
everybody's going to be dead.
They're all going to be dead. Be nursing home Twin Peaks with fucking...
They get sick. They get cancer. I mean, come on.
They get wheelchair bound. They get fat. They get ugly. They get plastic surgeries. But so we're never going to get any more Twin Peaks. I mean, you want to talk about... the reason why I hate the overstating your welcome type of attitude in TV now is because you have stuff like Twin Peaks where, that show should have had 10+ seasons, and we're only at 3 seasons, and we're probably never going to get a season again until
because it would have to be so much rewriting.
It'd have to be a reboot or something
because of the character loss.
And so that's that. So at least we got to see the characters. At least we're getting more Saul. I mean, Safi made that point. So, anyways, which element do we talk? Let's just talk about the different story elements. I mean, I would give the first episode, and let's do our ratings first before we get into details. I give the first episode an A-. I think the first episode is definitely better. I give the second episode a B+, or maybe a B. I don't know. Probably a B+, but who knows? What would you say, Safi?
I gave them both a B.
Really?
Well, because the first episode had that intro scene.
Oh, okay.
Then the second episode had, and see, now Marco explained it to me. I thought they had a preview of next week. Well, I thought it was
not
just
next week. It's the whole season.
Well, I thought it was just of next week.
Which they state in the video.
And well, I was tired and I was almost barely lucid by then.
Okay.
But anyway, I get up like at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm just tired that time of the evening. But anyway, what they showed, even if it was a preview of the season, it just flashed by with all these. You got to see it looked to me like you could see characters that they had in the previous shows, but like a 1 second view of them. And it was like this.
Because it's a teaser trailer.
I know, but it was just so confusing.
You
like,
complain
what
in
the
other
hell?
shows that they're giving too much away, and now you're complaining they're not telling you what's going on.
Well, I mean, it was just like, what? Well, why even do it at all? I mean,
because it's just something.
It doesn't even. It doesn't tell you anything.
It's just something to hold you. You just had 2 hours of television. What do you need?
I know, but I mean, just any kind of focus for more than a second.
I could focus just fine.
Well, I guess it's just because I was tired. But anyway, I just downgrade them both because first of the intro and then of the conclusion.
Okay.
Which that isn't really the conclusion. It was the review or
it's something that doesn't have anything to do with the second episode.
View of the upcoming. Well, no, I still give it a B.
Okay. Well, let's just break down each story. Say what we liked and didn't like. The first story let's go through is Gus and Mike. Let's just start there.
We both sigh at the same time. I'm just really, I don't get Gus.
I don't either.
Mike is not a dummy. And he is arguing for Nacho, for saving him. Because he thinks that the ramifications of getting rid of him will be more against them than Gus realizes. And he's trying to have Gus see it for what it is instead of having his emotions or anger or whatever cloud his judgment. And since Mike
it's like, what did Nacho do? Gus is the one who hired the team of the best guys. He's got the best hitmen.
So if he's so smart and hiring, quote, the best guys.
And they're trash. They suck. They
were
failed.
Terrible.
Good job, Gus.
And so, Gus, really, you want to just go ahead and do whatever you want. You don't want to listen to somebody else because what you did before was a failure. Because we find out, when do we find this out? Because he says it. Gus says it. At the end of the second episode.
What does he say?
He says Lalo is alive.
I can't remember. It's those 2 hours blended together for me.
Well, what happened was, apparently, in that area where the family lives or rules, the federales, the cops, they are with the, I guess it's almost like a ruling in Afghanistan. They have these tribal clans. Well, this certain, quote, clan.
I like the Kettleman clan. That's the clan I'd like to be a part of.
The federales said they have all this evidence that Lalo is dead. And
and Gus doesn't believe it because Gus is smarter.
Yes, he is.
And I will say this, I like that. I like that for sure. I thought that was cool because it would have been kind of a stupid storyline for them to be completely tricking Gus, who's really smart. So I'm glad that he figured it out. But I really liked Mike in both episodes. I liked how intent he was on standing up for Nacho.
And level-headed.
And the way that, he's a lot more good in these past 2 seasons. I liked how after killing that innocent guy in cold blood, it's like he's transformed a little bit. But the problem is...
I think he has regrets.
Is that in Breaking Bad, he is Gus's BFF.
Yeah.
And I really can't see how that would happen unless Gus is going to turn good to help Nacho escape. That's the only thing I could see. Because right now, Mike doesn't even like Gus that much. All he does is he respects him and he wants the money from him.
For his granddaughter.
It really doesn't seem like he likes Gus or even like he's good with killing a lot of people. Which, in Breaking Bad, he's like shooting people like he shoots people all the time. Like he's just like bam, 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 bam. Like it's an arcade game. Mike's little arcade game. And so that's something that's weird to me because they've got a long way to go. Like, it doesn't seem like he likes Gus very much.
Well,
at all.
And Gus already has a right-hand man. It's this African-American guy.
I think his name is like, I can't remember
I don't know.
It's like Tyrus? Is it Tyrus?
I don't know, but I never get to hear it. I never hear it. But he is like one-on-one with him. I mean, they're just like attached to each other by blood.
It feels like they have a long way to go, which is why it's sad. It feels like they're going to rush through that.
Which is sad. That's true.
And so we have that storyline. That was pretty good. I like that. Then we have Lalo. And he's just the best. He's the best character of the whole show now. He's so likable. And you really root for him because he's not fully evil. Like, he doesn't want innocent people to get killed.
Well, he doesn't want them to get their money taken away either.
Yeah, and so he helps out some people who are wanting to come to the U.S. illegally in a truck, and he helps them get their money back after he kills
and find somebody
these
else
guys.
to take them.
And I thought, he's just so cool. I can't wait for him to kill Nacho or to at least for him to succeed, because I want Lalo to succeed more than anyone in the whole show.
I don't know.
So I like that a lot.
What's going to happen?
I give that storyline like an A+. That was probably my favorite part. And then we have Nacho. And Nacho is...
he's in the episodes quite a bit.
He's basically the same as he's been for the past multiple seasons, where he's just this scared, teary-eyed wimp. And he runs to this motel, and he has to hide out there.
They tell him to go there, don't they?
Yeah. And then it turns out there's a guy watching him. Oh, the guy's just working for Gus. But then he wants to leave anyway, and that's when the twins come. And there's this really strange sequence where it really feels like they're hampered a little bit by Breaking Bad, because there's this sequence where Nacho is trying to escape, and he drives his truck right towards them, shooting at both of them. And I don't know if he's missing them intentionally or what, but they're shooting at each other, and you know how accurate the twins are. And
there's two of them.
And the fact that they aren't even able to at least injure Nacho at all, the fact that he's not able to injure either of them is retarded. And so who knows what's up with that. They want him alive, though, but just still the fact that it's like this plot convenience, missing bullets. Like with the shootout in the finale of season 5 where Lalo dodges machine guns. And so I still really enjoyed it. I thought it was very intense, and it was kind of Hitchcockian with the way that it's kind of like Rear Window, the way he's watching out the motel window and everything. So I like that.
He never has the light on.
Yeah.
Never turns the light on. He's just been sitting in the dark, and it looks like he's tried to stay awake most of the time. So he's really not functioning properly. So when you say he evaded all those bullets and drives truck on, I don't know how much sleep, which he's probably used to getting at least 8 hours, probably maybe an hour of sleep each night he's been there. I don't know how he could do it. Get away.
So then we have the story of Kimmy and Jimmy.
And this is what infuriated me, and probably Marco too, was at the end of the last season when they're at their hotel room and she's doing finger guns or something, and they eat ice cream and it's queer. Just pisses me off. She brings up this idea, and that's just what I mean. It's just totally out of nowhere in a certain way. I guess she got offended in some way that Howard talked to her, tried to tell her to get away from Jimmy, and she wants to take him down. And so she wants to get this elaborate scheme to take him down and take over his accounts, or that particular one with the nursing home.
Yeah.
The nursing home corporation, I guess. And I'm like, what the hell? Why do they need to do that? Are they really going to do that? Or was she just like, this is some little idea that's going to be floated in front of us, and it's not going to ever come?
To me, the real idea was Howard is basically like a footnote, whereas in the first 2 seasons he was like a main character. And so now let's get him involved with the show again.
And he looked like he had a heart attack. He's real scrawny.
God, Safi?
Well, his hair...
Maybe he just turned vegan or something.
I don't know. He's very scrawny, and his hair, the way it was cut...
God, Safi.
It was weird. It was like he had his hair thinned out in the front with his bangs, and he was scrawny and pale. And then he's next to that guy, the actor, who's been around for a very long time. He is very, like, green conscious. He's always been that way, not just because of lately, but he's always been that way. And he's a lot older now. And both of them look like they were, I don't know, like they really suffered from the pandemic.
What the hell?
I don't know if they just were inside all the time and I don't know. They didn't get any good sunlight or something. I don't know. Here they are in New Mexico, not getting any sunlight. It's kind of bizarre.
So what you're saying is that that kind of looked like the cast of Nosferatu.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, that's not what I really pictured Safi saying. I kind of thought I liked it quite a bit because what did I say in the past season? I said, you know, Kim, she's they're trying to make her out to be this, like, you know, great character.
No.
But and I was like, you know, just turn her evil because that's what you're doing. Like, I don't like her anymore, so just turn her evil.
And they did.
And so they did. And so I really liked it because I feel like now she's finally cool again. You know, I really liked her in the first 3 seasons, but then in seasons 4 and 5, I hated her. And so I'm glad that she's finally evil, and because she's cool now. And the way that she's just so cold and calculated, you know, I think that's pretty cool. But then the problem that I have is Jimmy. Because Jimmy, I mean, he's the last thing we're mentioning. You know why? Because he's just so meaningless in his own show. I mean, this is Better Call Saul, and it's almost like he's a nothing. Like he's like a little flake in the wind, like a little crumb of a cookie that fell on the floor, and you know someone just vacuums it up. And
yeah, but how can we really adequately review him because he had a heart attack? And it isn't just
what are you talking?
At a certain moment he had a heart attack. It was leading up to it. He must have had things going on in his body and mind that was making him not.
Well, and we're not picking on him for being sick. We're just saying,
not at all.
Because that's kind of what you sound like, Safi.
No. I don't feel like I can't adequately describe anything that he's doing because I don't know if I'm being fair because he was ill.
Well,
and then he had to recover.
I'm gonna criticize to the fullest extent of my ability, because at the end of the day, it's a show. And what I see on the show is all that matters. Just like with those reality shows. I don't care about those real people. I don't care about their fees. I care about what I see on the screen and what they choose to show and not show. And Jimmy, he is so low energy.
He is very low energy.
He's like
Why?
a 70-year-old man, and it feels like there's no way that this is the Saul in Breaking Bad. Like, there's no way he's anywhere near close to that.
Yeah.
Whereas in the first 3 seasons, it felt like he was a lot more energetic. And so to me, it really has a lot more to do with the writing. I don't really think it has anything to do with the acting, because he's a great actor. He's a perfect actor. He's one of the best actors around. I just think that the writers have turned him into a little bitch.
And Kim is like the steering wheel, and he's like, I don't know, kind of like hanging on, like an air freshener or something on the mirror.
He's like an air freshener, like a little thin air freshener waving around in the car, like, oh look, that's Jimmy over there.
And you see
a little
flashes
joke
during the episode.
A couple of flashes, but
it's not as strong and intense as
in the first couple of seasons.
Yeah.
Back when the show was really good.
But is it all because of the writers, or is it because he's ill?
I think it's all because of the writers, because he was like that in 4 and 5 too. You know, like in 4 and 5, he was also very low energy. Whereas in seasons 1 through 3, he was like a firework ready to go off. So I really have to criticize that, because the sequences that they wrote, they're pretty good. You know, I like it how I love seeing the scam going on with him going into the what's that, country club, golf club, whatever. I love that. I love seeing him interact with all those people and all the thing he pulls off. It's very
clever,
very entertaining.
Yeah.
It's just that his persona is just so weak and pathetic. It's like he's like a girly Saul. Like it, you know, it's really weird. And then in the second episode, he meets up with the Kettlemans again, which I gotta say, one of the weird things about this show so far is that we see all these characters from the past seasons. We see the Kettlemans. We see, who else do we see? We see, Safi.
I don't know, I'm thinking.
The bald guy, Kevin. We see him. You know, we see well, of course, Howard. And they all don't really feel like they're old characters at all. Like, they kind of all feel like new characters. Like, they're written over a lens of the writers. Like, the writers have a lens that look at these new characters completely differently than the old writers did. Or, I don't know. That's what it feels like to me. Everything just feels so different. The best comparison that I made earlier today off camera was the first 3 seasons to me felt like I was drinking a glass of Dr. Pepper. And 4, 5, and 6 feels like someone put 90% bourbon in the glass and 10% Dr. Pepper.
Ugh.
And so it feels like I'm drinking a glass of disgusting bourbon.
Gross.
Without anything, just straight bourbon. That's what it feels like to me, if I can make any comparison. Safi, do you agree?
It's different, that's for sure.
Very different.
Just maybe the opposite. The 2 opposite extremes.
But I still liked it. I still was entertained. It's just that I have to pick apart just how different it is, because I just feel like this isn't really the show that we signed up for in the very beginning. It's like a completely different show.
And I just, I can't even imagine what is going to happen to Kim and Lalo and Nacho, because we know what happens with Gus, and we know what happens with Mike, and they're going to be around for a while, and then they're not.
I don't know. I have no idea what they're going to do. I
don't know how, and I guess that's a good thing, that they're not being so, making it easy.
Yeah, I like that. I don't want to be able to tell what happens.
Which in some shows, it's like it's so obvious that you're like, why am I even watching the rest of the show? Because I know what's going to happen.
Or it's not, like in Chucky, where like they just skipped over an entire storyline and just put them all in the hospital after and don't even explain what happens to them. It's like, who the hell would have been able to guess that they're such shitty writers they do that? But I in general, I liked both episodes. It did drag, though, because it was 2 episodes at the same time. And I really felt like I'd like to space it apart to just dissect one at a time.
And also just to enjoy it.
Yeah,
because
to
it's
enjoy
going,
it.
it's going
Take it
off
in.
the air. They're not going to have it anymore.
Only 11 episodes left, Safi.
Yeah, I know, and that'll go by fast.
Very fast.
So, whatever.
I in general, though, I liked it. It's just, I liked the first episode better for sure, because the second episode was a lot more Nacho heavy, even more. The first episode, it was like...
You had to talk about him. You had to talk about what happened because...
Oh, Safi, it was like 70% Nacho.
Right.
And then in the second episode, it was like 90% Nacho. So I definitely liked the first more.
But, well, I guess my question is, maybe you can answer it, is Lalo, he's on bail, right? So I guess the terms of his bail is maybe he can't leave town.
No, he can't leave the country or anywhere.
Oh, he can't. Okay, so nobody knows where he is, so they're like concerned, which is, with more quotes, and the prosecuting attorney and the cops.
That's the reason. That's the reason why I say that it would be nice to see Nacho and Lalo escape together, is because at the same time you have Nacho, who's being looked around by everyone. He's being looked for by everyone,
and he is really he is between a total rock and a hard place.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because that's one of the names of the episodes coming up.
Oh,
and then you have Lalo, and people are looking for him too. Gus wants him dead. The police want him.
Yeah, where is he?
And
He's
so
supposed to be gone.
And they heard Jimmy say his name, so that makes me think there is a chance that both of them are going to have to disappear together, which I think would be really, really cool. Honestly,
I can't even imagine though, because Lalo had people he really loved.
Well, Nacho didn't want that to happen, so
that's true.
I'd kind of like for that to happen, because it would be like a more positive ending. It would be a more positive story for, them to find out the truth and then to escape these evil people like Gus and then the cartels in Mexico. It'd be a lot more of a positive ending, but I don't know. Who knows? Because I don't think I've ever made a correct prediction about the show. I've made suggestions, but I've never really made any predictions. So.
And that was another thing too. It freaked me out in a way, was that Nacho asked about those people.
Yeah.
He asked about them. I mean, he knows what these, what would you call, drug people? He knows what they're like.
Yeah.
They're not nice. And he said, well, what about those older people? And the guy...
Oh, suddenly said, he cares about Lalo's family?
And like, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You really don't think that they would get killed? Even if it was just in the crossfire and it wasn't deliberate.
Machine guns.
I mean, they have machine guns everywhere. They had a whole... you're talking about like a shitty paramilitary, excuse my words, unit coming in there and shooting up the place. And plus there was a little fire going on in the kitchen, because that's what Nacho did to get something, a distraction going so he could get the hell out of there. And so, I mean, you had all this chaos, and he asked about them if they were okay. And well, the guy couldn't tell him actually, but I mean, I think, how could he after being in this with these people for probably a lot of his life, his adult life, he actually asked that question? I was mystified by that. I just couldn't believe it. It freaked me
You're
out.
talking like one scene, like 10 minutes into the show.
I thought it was so naive
It was funny.
and queer.
Yeah.
I couldn't. It was unfathomable to me.
Because he started to ask right in the middle of when the shooting was going to happen, and he asked on the phone, and then the guy hung up on him like he didn't even care.
No, of course he didn't care.
At that point, I was like, are you really that stupid that you wouldn't think that they died? That's why I criticized him in the season 5 finale. Was that like he was too stupid? Like they hung up on him. They didn't care at all.
And then I guess another thing that perturbed me quite a bit, and this is where the thing Marco was talking about, Mike and Gus, where I said it. Mike wants to keep Nacho alive. He does not think it's in Gus's best interest to have him fly off in the wind and because the other people want him too, but they just want to torture him until they get who hired him to do that. And so he tried, and then what was I going to say? I can't even remember what I was going to say now, but I'll think about it. But anyway, it just freaked me out, Gus's whole attitude.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
He doesn't care, and he doesn't want to listen to Mike. And Mike was like, stood his ground. And the other guy, Gus's buddy, we don't really know his name.
Tyrus.
I don't know.
Cyrus.
He got his gun, and he cocked it, ready to kill Mike. And like, really?
Yeah, see, like
I mean, what the hell?
That's why it's hard for me to see how this is so close to Breaking Bad when you have Gus threatening to kill Mike for no reason.
I know, and if you recall during Breaking Bad, and don't ask me what season or anything, but Mike was shot real badly. He was with Jesse, I believe, and Gus bent over backward. I mean, I've never seen this before, and I don't think I've seen it since, trying to save his life.
I think it was in season 4.
And he got his doctor, who I guess the doctor was indebted to him. It's like the mafia. And he had him, didn't spare any expense or any help or anything to keep Mike alive. And here we are at this juncture here of this Better Call Saul, where he would actually even consider having his buddy shoot Mike, or it freaked me out. I couldn't believe it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, because I'll tell you, some things were happening at the end of this episode I can't explain. I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what it's going to end up, how it's going to end up. So, sorry.
Anyways, Safi.
Well, if you like this video and you want to press the like button, we would really appreciate it.
Or the dislike button, we'd appreciate even more.
Not really.
I would.
And then, you're weird. And then we also welcome new subscribers, because why not? What did you think about the 2 episodes? Did you like it, the fact that there were 2 episodes back to back late at night?
Well, they did that with season 5, so...
I know some people can stay up really late and almost all night. And actually, I'm up all night long, which is part of my sleeping problem. But anyway, I would have preferred, as Marco said for himself, that they would have had them separated.
Maybe the network forced them to do that, like with the splitting the season in half. So we don't know if it's...
He said that, and that could be. We don't know. Yeah. We don't know these details. But anyway, if you want to subscribe to our channel, we would like that too, because we'd welcome your feedback and what you thought about the episodes. And where do you think, what do you think is going to happen to Kim, number one? What do you think is going to happen to Nacho? What do you think is going to happen to Lalo?
Kim is going to get superpowers, and
Fly
it
off
is going to be revealed that she was
with her unicorn.
She's the next coming of Christ.
I mean, she in these episodes, she was like an iceberg.
She was even chewing blue gum.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. I gotta get a drink.
She liked that blue gum. What kind of flavor? You think that's like a spearmint
Blueberry.
or something?
It's blueberry.
Blueberry.
Yeah.
It's spearmint.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Never heard of blue spearmint.
Bye, everybody.